A very good morning to each and everyone watching Mama Gasabo Television. Thank you for being with us in today's news edition. You're going to be with me, Kamikaze Gislen. Now let's kick off with the news headlines. President Paul Kagame opened the Land Forces Commanders Symposium. Rwanda and Tunisia Forum open to strengthen trade investment ties. On the international news, Sanae Takaichi wins historic vote to become Japan's first female prime minister. Let's take a short break to be back into the news details. Welcome back. Let's start our news in Rwanda. This morning at Intare Arena, Kigali, President Paul Kagame opened the Land Forces Commander Symposium, convening land forces commanders and military leaders from over 30 African countries and beyond to discuss strategic to enhance peace and security on the continent. The gathering brings together military leaders, defense experts, and key stakeholders from across Africa and beyond. Over the course of 2 days, discussions will focus on the theme, leveraging land forces capabilities for enhanced implementation of peace and security strategies.
Speed matters because conditions on the ground often evolve rapidly and delays are costly. The dilemma, however, is that speed without accuracy is dangerous, and accuracy without speed is pointless. There has to be a balance between the two. Equally important is the civil-military cooperation. Land forces operate closest to citizens. Everything that you do must serve their safety and well-being. The discipline and professionalism that you show are what either build or break the public's trust.
Moving ahead, General Pierre Skill, Chief of Staff of the French Army, held a bilateral meeting with his counterpart Major General Vincent Nyakarundi on 20th October 2025 at RDF headquarters in Kimihurura. Prior to the meeting, General Skill paid a courtesy call on the Chief of Defense Staff of RDF, General Baraka Muganga. Discussions during these engagements focused on strengthening the existing cooperation between the French Army and the RDF Land Force. As part of his visit, General Skill also visited the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where he paid tribute to the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. General Pierre Skill is in Rwanda to attend the Land Forces Commander Symposium, scheduled to take place in Kigali from 21st to 22nd October 2025. Turning to the next story, a business forum between Rwanda and Tunisia has officially opened with the goal of bolstering trade and investment ties between the two nations. The event brings together government officials and nations. The event brings together government officials, private sector's representatives keen to explore cooperations in sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, and services. Rwanda highlighted its commitment to attracting foreign investment and leveraging its strategic location in East Africa, while Tunisia emphasized its experience in industry, export-oriented services, and regional trade links. Both countries intend to use this forum to identify joint venture opportunities, streamline business facilitation, and foster bilateral economic growth. The initiative reflects growing interest in intra-Africa collaboration and positions Rwanda and Tunisia to expand their commercial footprint across regional markets. By strengthening institutional and business-to-business connections, the forum aimed to convert shared ambitions into tangible investment flows and enhance trade volume. Now let's take a short break to be back on the international scene.
Bakiriya bacu turabamenyesha ko Danobe Home yabaye Smart Home. Ni impinduka zigamije kongera ibicuruzwa byiza kandi biramba. By'umwihariko ku biciro bibanogeye n'uburyo bwo kwishyura buboroheye. Wadusanga aho dukorera KBC Kimihurura cyangwa ugasura urubuga rwacu wa/smarthome.rawa. Wanaduhamagara cyangwa se ukatwandikira ku murongo wa telefone ukurikira 0788 90 50 90.
Welcome back. On the international news, Japan's parliament elected ultra-conservative Sanae Takaichi as the country's first female prime minister Tuesday, a day after her struggling party struck a coalition deal with a new partner expected to pull her governing bloc further to the light. Princess Mojisha proceeds.
This starts on the African news, where as tension continues to mount in Ivory Coast ahead of the Saturday's presidential election. Ajay Amr has been shot and killed while on patrol in south of the country. His assailants have not been identified, but the region is traditional opposition stronghold and has been the site of the recent protests after the two leading opposition candidates, Laurent Gbagbo and Tijama Thiama, were barred from standing in the upcoming election. All protests have now been outraged by the government of the President Oktali as he runs for the fourth time. The 83-year-old now faces four remaining opposition candidates, Simona, Ahua and Jean-Louis and Heriniet. The others have not been affected by the ban on the protest since taking office in 2011. Quota has invested in major infrastructure projects across the country, but inequality and the cost of living have soared. Quota's opponents also accuse him of being too close to the country's former colony rulers' funds. Turning to the international news, Sanae Takaichi has won a historical vote to become the Japanese first female prime minister. The 64-year-old conservative is known as Japan's Ayn Rand. She's an admirer of the UK's former PM Margaret. This is her third-time attempt at becoming Japan's leader, and she's the fourth prime minister in the 5 years from her scandal-hit party, the LDP. She belongs to the RDBC, her line wing, and is protege of the late former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. President Trump had earlier hailed her as a highly respected person of the great wisdom. Now that she is elected, Takaichi's charges will include fixing a sluggish economy, navigating a loose US-Japan relationship, and uniting a dividing leading party. Concluding international news, the meeting between Russian Foreign Minister Sergei and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, which had been in the works for the past few days, has been postponed indefinitely, CNN reported, citing its sources in White House. According to the TV channel, the planned meeting has been postponed for the time being. However, the CNN noted that it's unclear why the meeting could not take place this week. On Monday, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei said that no agreement had been reached on the time and the place of the meeting between the two countries' top diplomats, that everything was still under the consideration. According to the CNN sources, the Forever and Joe bids agreed on how to peacefully settle the Ukrainian conflict. In addition, the CNN stated the impact of postponing the meeting indefinitely on the talks between the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the U.S. counterpart Donald Trump in the Buddhist is still unclear. After a telephone conversation between the two top diplomats, CNN noted that the United States officials concluded Russian position on Ukraine has not changed. At this point, Rubio is unclear on to command that President Putin and Trump meet next week. However, he and Lavrov may speak by phone again this week. Russian Foreign Ministry previously stated Lavrov and Rubio discussed potential concrete steps to implement the understanding reached during President Putin's October 16th telephone conversation with President Trump. Following his conversations with President Trump and Putin said they had agreed to meet soon in Budapest, Cayman aide written Moscow and Washington would immediately begin preparation for a new meeting between the leaders, which could hold in Hungarian capital. Princess Medisha Memorgo, Gasabo TV.
As we come to the end of the news edition, let's remind you of the top stories that we talked about. President Paul Kagame opened the Land Forces Commanders Symposium. Rwanda and Tunisia Forum open to strengthen trade and investment ties. On the international news, Sanae Takaichi wins historic vote to become Japan's first female prime minister. And this marks the end. Stay tuned.